Hey everyone, Chris Lewis from the Digital Newsroom at Fox 47 News. We are here for our Michigan History Throwback. We're at the capital of Michigan, and we're going to be exploring the capital and everything about it, things that you may know, things that you might not know, with Valerie Marvin, who is the Capitol Historian and Curator.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about the dome on the Michigan State Capitol. Most of us take it for granted today that capitals just have domes in America, but that wasn't always necessarily true. Capitol domes became very popular during the Civil War, when the national capitol received its big dome. Lincoln, in fact, very famously refused to halt construction on it during the war. And so a lot of men from Michigan and from across the North who were fighting actually got to see the construction of that dome themselves firsthand. And in the years that followed the war, it became important as we were building new state capitals across the country to include domes that were similar in style to that on the national capitol. When people from out of state see our Capitol dome, they often comment on the fact that it's a little bit thinner than most. Our architect, Elijah Myers, did that intentionally. He used every trick he could to make the building look bigger than it actually is. So by making our dome a little bit narrower and a little bit taller, your eye automatically goes up and you think the building is a little bit bigger than it is in all actuality. Now, from the ground to the tip top of the dome is about 267 feet. And it's important to keep in mind that when the Capitol opened in the late 1800s, most buildings in downtown Lansing were maybe 2 or 3 stories tall. So it would have seemed absolutely giant to someone at that time. And it actually took about another 50 years until a taller building was constructed in downtown Lansing. Many people are also curious to know about the color of our dome, which of course is slightly different than the rest of the building. And people who collect old postcards are often curious to know why it appears to be blue or green or gold in different images. When the Capitol originally opened, the dome was painted the same color as the building, kind of a sandstone color. But in the 1950s, when they put floodlights on the dome for the very first time, they painted it white. So it's been an ongoing matter of discussion ever since as to what color it now should be. I can tell you, though, with certainty, it was never blue, green, or gold. The art that you see on postcards is simply this was created by artists, many of whom may never have set foot in Lansing. And they were interested in making a beautiful product, not necessarily in being accurate. One of the biggest challenges for us is maintaining the dome, which is actually cast and wrought iron and sheet metal. Now, a metal dome, of course, has to be painted. The first time we painted the dome was not long after the building opened in 1879. Alan Shattuck, a local Lansing man, owned a painting company that had a contract to paint all of the metal and wood on the building. The trouble was his painters were not very excited about climbing up on the dome, and of course, who can blame them? So Shattuck decided that he would make a bit of a wager on the presidential election that year, and when his candidate, Garfield, won, he had to make good. So he climbed the dome. Now he went mostly up through the interior, up through the lantern, which is the last set of windows, and then was able to pop out a hatch and had to pretty much scale the rest of it on his own. In fact, the ball that's at the top of the dome that looks teeny tiny from the ground, we believe is about 2.5 feet across, actually. Now, when Shattuck got up there, he pulled an American flag out, waved it, gave whoops for Garfield, as he said later when he wrote about the event, and also then attached some wire that would be used by his painters so they could attach their tackle to it. And then they were able to go up and paint. Generally, we repaint every 15, 20, 25 years. Our most recent repainting took place in 2015. And when we built the scaffolding, which that alone took about 7 weeks, we got up there and discovered we were actually missing a lot of the decorative ornament of the dome. And some of the ornament that was in place was badly decayed. For example, here I have a boss. This is an architectural feature on the dome, and you can see here there are holes in it. It's rusted through. It had to be attached by large fasteners that were not original. So the Capitol Commission made the decision to remove any of the damaged pieces, note where there were missing elements, and recreate them. So here I have with me an example of a new boss. This was crafted out of sheet metal, painted, actually painted inside as well, so if water gets in back it will not rust. And then these were put up on the dome. Other examples of pieces we had to recreate include pieces of scroll work that were around the windows, and cast iron acanthus leaves, such as this one. This was actually a leaf that we sent out down to our metal fabricator to use as a pattern. Now, recreating all of these pieces, putting them on the dome and painting it took us all of the summer of 2015 and into the fall. We finally took the last pieces of scaffolding down that October. And for those of us who worked here, it was kind of a special moment, but it was also a little sad, because the truth is we won't have the opportunity to do something like that again for another couple decades. So for most of us who work here, we only get that experience once during our careers. Something also that's important to note is that our Capitol Dome is one thing that makes this building nationally significant. In 1992, when we finished our big restoration of the building, this Capitol was named a National Historic Landmark, in part because it was one of the first to have a tall cast iron dome. And we're very proud that it is still in beautiful condition today.